We're going to move swiftly on to our next CEO conversation. I'm really pleased to welcome on stage Vissoth Nam, the AirAsia Cambodia Chief Executive Officer, for a fireside chat. Vissoth, please come on stage. So, Vissoth is a young CEO, young, passionate about aviation, a certified AV geek in many ways. And through his time, his career so far has been at the Cambodia Central Bank. He has prepared for this role, studied in business and economics, trained in economics, and so all helps for leading an airline, a startup airline in Cambodia today, in AirAsia Cambodia. Vissoth, welcome to Singapore. Tell me what it's like running a startup airline, particularly at a time when there are numerous global challenges, and I'm sure everyone has been talking about a fuel crisis around the world. What is that experience like, particularly where you have certain challenges right now?
Thank you very much, Danny, and thank you, the organizers, for inviting me for such a big event. So how does it look like to start an airline? I would say a lot of turbulence, a lot of challenge, but at the end of the day, the experience was, the challenge. This is what I would say. Not that easy, because when you start an airlines, because in the linear of AirAsia, no one has experience in airlines, basically. So the first day that Tony announced that I'm going to be the CEO and give me the chance, I said, I don't have experience. Then he said, no one have experience, you will learn your job by doing. So this is sounds like how I started the airlines of AirAsia.
Well, let's not forget Tony Fernandez, when he first started AirAsia all those years ago, decades, not too far back. He didn't really have the experience either. So with AirAsia Cambodia now starting in 2024, you're now profitable within the first year. So you're already making strides in many ways. But tell us, what is the current fuel crisis experience like for your airline? You currently have 2 aircraft and you're obviously looking to grow. How are you managing that broader situation?
Since the beginning, AirAsia Cambodia, we apply a very strict cost disciplines in every department. So this is part of our DNA. And the second point is accountability across all staff and all employees that we call the all-stars, that we make sure that everyone thinks that they own the airlines. So this is our culture for Cambodia. So with this crisis and the fuel, we heard a lot of rumors. Yesterday, Philippines announced there is an emergency crisis for energy. Vietnam launched information that maybe foreign carriers cannot supply and uplift the fuel in Vietnam. And we also heard from other ASEAN countries. But the truth is, we don't know. It's all running by rumors, which is normal, because considering that fuel is about 30 to 40% of direct cost in the aviation industry. So everyone is concerning, and the paradox is the fuel increase, but you cannot increase the price, because at the same time demands also stagnate, because there's I would say the world is divided by into pieces. One is Europe, America, and one is Asia. Because if you take out the Middle East company which feed Asia, then it's like you take out 15 to 20% of the market share in these regions.
Yeah. Now, in terms of AirAsia Cambodia, can you shed a little bit of light of why AirAsia decided to come to Cambodia? It's a young country. There's lots of potential. Talk to us also about the fundamentals of potential travel growth in Cambodia.
So, Cambodia is, in terms of country, we have to look at the socio-economics. It's been a very stable economic growth over the past 2 decades at 6% GDP growth. Secondly, is an untapped market. If you look at the market level, we look at across ASEAN, every countries have 40 to 50% of low-cost carrier market shares, while Cambodia is around about 20%. So it's a new market with a young middle class coming that is eager to travel, untapped market. And in terms of the network strategy, is also fit perfectly well with AirAsia, because Cambodia can, capitalize on our two hubs, which one is Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur. So it's blend well in the ecosystems of AirAsia Group, which we call ourselves truly ASEAN Airlines.
So talk to us about the long-term growth. 2 aircraft now. What's the vision next year and in the years to come? How big do you want AirAsia Cambodia to be, and what kind of targets are you setting yourself and the company?
The mission of AirAsia Cambodia, of course, is to dominate the market in Cambodia, to become the leading airlines in Cambodia. And over the next 5 years, it's going to be scaling up to 15 aircraft. So now we have 2. It seems that it's a little bit slow, but just to give you a background, to get an FOC within the region is not that easy. Some countries will take 1 year, some will take 1.5 years. So that's why the first 3 years was basically building the fundamentals, requesting for all the FOCs from various countries. One, the structural setup is done, then we can scale up pretty much very quickly, thanks to the synergy with the group and the assistance from the AirAsia Group.
And how hard it is really to start an airline from scratch? I mean, do you feel you have the advantage with the help of AirAsia, where you are with the having to find the employees, having to, I guess maybe attract workers to come to Cambodia to work for your airline as well? What is that whole experience like?
Well, basically, running an airline is not an easy task, but starting an airline from scratch is even more challenging. Challenging in the term that the aviation industry in Cambodia is an emerging one. So we are lacking pretty much of skilled laborers, which is undergo the training. So we have to build capacity buildings within the companies, because we need to increase our own capacities. At the same time, we need to, tackle all the communication with the airport. Just to give you the background, within 2 years, Cambodia changed 2 airports. So basically, we have 1 new airport in Siem Reap International, Siem Reap International Airport, which opened in October 2023. So we set up everything, then we have to move to 1 airport. And then last year, we also opened a new airport, which called the Cho Phnom Penh International Airport. So this is also another challenge, how we move from 1 airport to another airport when we are young airlines. And the second point is regulatory framework. Building the AOC from scratch, meaning I'll go to the 5 phases of AOCs, which is a long and tedious process.
Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles you have to overcome. Now, let's talk about the competitive landscape. Cambodia does have a number of airlines. You've got Air Cambodia, Cambodia Airways, Angkor Air. How do you try to stand out? And given all the airlines in Cambodia are of a subscale, reasonable scale, but we are seeing plane orders already being made. How are you looking to scale out, capture market share, and try to ensure that you can stay relevant in the marketplace?
Well, there's a couple of airlines in Cambodia, as you mentioned, but the market is very fragmented between those airlines. So we are the only airline that claim ourselves as a true low-cost airline, whereas the others, they are kind of hybrid. I'm not sure whether we can use this term in aviation. So basically, all these airlines are looking for wet lease, most of them, whereas AirAsia, we are focusing on sustainable growth. We are focusing on capacity buildings. We are focusing on really building the next chapter of Cambodian aviation by unlocking trade, tourism, and potentially also cargo.
Yeah, and with the kind of fundamentals, how many people travel now in Cambodia? What do you see in terms of the overall growth in travel, and how much market share you can capture?
So for the last 3 years, we have seen that we recovered from COVID. On 2023, there is 5 million passengers in Cambodia, and then 6.2 in 2024, and then this year is close to 7 million. So we can see a growing market shares coming to Cambodia. And in terms of connectivity, more airlines also are coming. So it's a good positive sign. And we also have infrastructures building that is ready to be unlocked. And I think there is a positive sign in the next few years for Cambodia. And I have a strong feeling that tourism will keep growing, especially for Siem Reap and the coastal areas in Sihanoukville. And Phnom Penh will be the main hub for business and also for tourism.
And how much of a game changer is the infrastructure investment in Cambodia? As you mentioned, though, the 2 new airports, particularly the airport at Tekno International Airport. If you see the images, the drawings of what an airport would be like, but when you look in real life, it's exactly the same. It brings real to life this beautiful terminal design. It's a huge statement in many ways for what Cambodia wants to be in future. Talk to us a little about the new infrastructure and what that is like from your experience.
Well, the new infrastructure put aviation in the center of the government policies. So government is increasingly more and more interested in developing the aviation sectors. So with the airport, with the airlines that they're building, there's awareness going with all the stakeholders, which is a positive sign. And recently, the government also passed the law that stated full liberalization of aviation market in Cambodia. So the ambition is to make sure that Cambodia become a hub in the next few years, not only for passengers, but also logistic hub. So this we are working closely with airlines, with the airport, and also with government.
So, I mean, you talk about this hub idea. You also mentioned freight. How much of what you want to do extends into not just passenger airlines, but also freighter operations? Obviously, maybe you will be carrying cargo under the belly of the passenger planes. How much does the vision kind of grow into the even longer future?
Well, once again, the market of freight is an untapped market, just like passengers. Penetration is very low, and I'm sure you're aware that we have a company called Teleport, which manage all the AirAsia cargo belly that interline with all the international airlines. So these would be the key changers. Make sure that the cargo from Cambodia can travel to Bangkok or to KL and then go to the Middle East or go to Europe, thanks to the interlines.
Now, specifically on 2026, what does growth look like? Do you have any new aircraft coming in, or how do you feel about the network plan at the moment, and even particularly around the challenge around the fuel crisis? You know, do you feel like you have to make adjustments to the network in order to adapt to an ever-fluctuating situation?
Well, actually, we have 1 aircraft coming by the end of this year, or maybe 2. But unfortunately, with the increase of fuel, now it becomes very uncertain. So we are changing our strategy, and we are in the position of wait and see about the situation. If the situation gets better, obviously our ambition to increase the aircraft, but not at all costs. So protecting the profitability, protecting the network, and make sure that whatever we deliver, we are up to standard to our customers.
And how much are you in control of setting the airfares? Because if you are having to pass on higher costs in jet fuel to customers, for a young market like Cambodia, for a market where low cost is price-sensitive customers, how much room do you have to maneuver?
Well, how do we pass the fares? So we try to absorb some fares, but at the same time, we need to balance between absorbing and profitability. Because as you mentioned, if you increase the fares too much, the demand will be not there. We cannot stimulate the demand. So now the question is how to find balance between those two. So sometimes it can go for management capacities, which is we are not trying to do that because our model is point-to-point and increase frequencies. And second point is to make sure that we capture all the demand that's supposed to go to Europe and make sure they travel with us and travel within the regions. ASEAN or ASEAN plus 3, India, China, and Japan and Korea.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors with the airline. Clearly, turbulent time for now, but with all the growth ambitions, I do wish you a successful onward journey. Thank you very much indeed. Everyone, please give a round of applause to Vissoth Nam, the AirAsia Cambodia Chief Executive Officer. Thank you.